Good morning, estate agents of the UK. Welcome to the BestAgent Breakfast Show. It's Friday, the 24th of February. I'm Charlie Lamdin, the founder of BestAgent. And in today's breakfast show, let's get straight into the top story of the day. I've got my tip of the day, which I'll get to very quickly because I want to spend a few minutes on it. Is something that's, if you're not already doing it, it will definitely save you and make you more money with no effort required. But let's get into the top story of the day first, and they're all on the same theme. So the first story that caught my eye today was on Property Industry Eye, and let me just share the screen with you. Vendors increasingly likely to switch, twice as likely to switch agents as the market slows. Okay, so the line I picked out of this, so it's quite interesting. The line I found here, which was really interesting, was the fact that vendors who do change after being on the market for more than 8 weeks are 34% more likely to sell than those that reduce the price at the same point. Okay, so what they're saying is that for those sellers, switching agents gives them a better chance of selling than just dropping price with the original agent that they're with. So if you are the original agent, I think that what that says is that if you need to get a price reduction to sell, the sooner you do it, the better, because the longer you leave it, the more likely you are to lose them to another agent. But if you're an agent picking up an instruction from another agent, then that is a stat that's going to help you persuade the vendor to switch agents. But I think what's happening is increasingly vendors are getting frustrated and having less patience with agents who have overvalued to get their business and then failed to sell. They just want to go to another agent. They don't want to sell it anymore, which is why I don't think overvaluing pays to get the instruction. Right, on to the second story of the day, which is on Estate Agent Today. And a lot of you will already know this because at the coalface, you'll be experiencing it yourself anyway. Almost a third of UK home sellers are being gazundered by buyers. By the way, I've linked to all of these stories in the description below this video on YouTube. But here was what caught my eye on this story. As many as 75% of the vendors who are having a price drop forced on them close to exchange decided to press ahead with the transaction, accepting the lower offer. And of those that didn't, 21% said the sale ended up collapsing. I think that's a very useful statistic for you to use if you are trying to persuade your clients to accept lower offers. That is, that's a credible source for that data. The House Buyer Bureau, they actually surveyed 1,100 sellers who've sold within the last 6 months. So there's very compelling reasons to accept that lower price if it happens, but obviously you don't want it to happen. But it's a good way to get your clients to be prepared for it if it does happen, if you do get a last minute price drop. I think a lot of buyers leave it to the last minute because they're nervous about doing it, and they would have done it sooner. But I get lots of buyers on my Moving Home with Charlie channel talking to me saying, "Oh, we want to drop the price, but worried about losing the deal." Those are the stats of what's happening now. But what I want to go on to spend the rest of this morning's talk is on this. There was a story in the Financial Times yesterday. Is a frozen market worse than a house price crash? Now, again, I've linked to this below on the YouTube version of this video. And I mean, for estate agents, 100% a frozen market is worse than a house price crash. If you're an estate agent, it doesn't matter what house prices are doing as long as people are moving, right? So that's why I don't understand why any agents are actually upset about the fact that people are saying house prices are falling, because your job is to help people move house, whatever the market's doing. Your job is not to predict what's happening in the market, in my view. But I would have a read of this because what increases the chances of this frozen housing market is unrealistic sellers. Unrealistic sellers are the biggest threat to estate agency businesses right now, in my view. All right. So have a read of that, and hopefully it might help motivate you into doing what I want to go on to talk about next. So I'm going to get into my tip of the day, and I covered this yesterday in my I did a video on surviving 2023, and I went into that. If you want to see that, that's now published, and it's the it's the most recent video before this one on my channel if you want to go and find it. And the biggest threat facing estate agents this year is a fall in transaction volumes, as well as aggressive corporate marketing competition, and of course, fall-throughs. And what you don't have time for in that environment is sellers who are wasting your time as an agent. And there could be all kinds of different reasons why you've got a seller who's on the market with a house price that's too high and they won't drop it for you. But if you've got that scenario and you've got a seller and their listing is just making you look like you've overvalued it, especially as time goes by and the market falls further away, and they're being really stubborn and saying, no, we won't drop our price, this is what I would do in that scenario. And I'm going to also give the seller the benefit. There are two scenarios, right? Either the seller forced you to put it on too high, which happens a lot, or when you took it on, you maybe overvalued it slightly and got it wrong, and the house prices, the market's fallen away faster than you thought. But in either scenario, it doesn't change what you need to do, which is this. You need to make, and I mean make, I mean force that seller to drop their price to a price that you know you can sell it at, or you need to fire that client because they are not going to help themselves or you by sitting on the market, okay? And they will cost you time and cost you money and damage your brand if they sit there with overpriced stock in the market. Now, actually, Christopher Watkins' stats show, this is a stat I want to put on here, which might also help. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Do I have it? Yeah, here it is. Christopher Watkins' stat show released on Property Industry Eye this morning has this graph here, which shows fall-throughs, but more importantly, that the price changes as a percent of listings is over 50. It's nearly 53% of all listings. Now, that to me, he glossed over it and didn't even talk about it. Went, oh, nothing to see here. On to the next slide. That to me is good news that says agents are succeeding in getting sellers to drop their price, which means you're going to have more transactions to have. Okay, so in order to avoid a frozen market, that figure being very high is very good news for estate agents. It does mean that there's a downward pressure on prices, of course, which Chris is in denial about for some reason. But yeah, that is good news, right? Oh, I didn't even share it with you. Sorry, guys. Here it is. Look at that. 53%. Okay, of 53% of listings having their price reduced in the last week. That is good news for estate agents. It means that more sellers are dropping their price. You can have a better chance of selling it. But this is the conversation I would have with a seller. I would either in person or over the phone. I would say to them, the market has moved away from us, and there is no longer any interest in your property at the price that it's on at. I cannot afford the time marketing a property that I know I can't sell. So I've worked out what the right price is that we need to drop the price to now to make sure we get interest and get it sold. And I need to ask you to consider lowering your price to this price. And I need a decision from you within 7 days, because they will need it. You know, if they're really setting their mind on the price, you got to give them time to talk about it with their family. Don't like hold a gun to their head on the day, but give them a week to make the decision. And say, if at the end of that week you're unable to agree to drop the price to that asking price, I'm going to have to ask you to find another agent, because I will no longer be able to represent you. Right now, this is a win-win for you, whatever happens. Okay, because if you've got something that's just sitting there, costing you time, costing you money, not bringing any inquiries, and making you look like you can't sell stuff, you want it off your books, right? Either you want it off your books because they're not going to sell it anyway, because if they're not going to drop the price, no one's going to sell it for them, or you want it off your books because it's sold. And so you're giving the vendor an ultimatum which says, it's up to you. I'm either going to kick you off my books because I won't have it on my books anymore, or we're going to sell it. There's no downside. The only downside for you is to sit there with the property on your books not selling. Okay, so I hope that's helpful, guys. It's Friday. I hope you're having a good week so far. I think that it doesn't matter what's happening to house prices as long as transactions are happening, and getting sellers to be more realistic is probably the best strategy there is to get more transactions happening right now. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to get my other videos that are all on this channel just for estate agents. Thank you to those of you watching on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Twitter. It's a couple of hundred, actually no, about 200 or 300 people yesterday, so double the day before. Nice to see the numbers going up. Best of luck. If you've got any questions, get in touch with me, and I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye, guys.